Well, something we've had our eyes on in the past hour is at the United Nations, where the Security Council has failed to approve Bahrain's resolution on protecting shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. These are some of the latest pictures out of the chamber itself. Gabriel Elizondo joins us from the UN there in New York. And Gabriel, so a decision against approving this Bahrain resolution. Talk us through what this means.
Yeah, well, at the start, it's certainly a defeat for Bahrain, and certainly by a wider measure, perhaps a defeat for all of the GCC countries that were backing this resolution. Clearly, this resolution had been in the works for about 2 weeks. It had gone through 6 different iterations or edits on 6 different occasions because France, Russia and China all had reservations about it over the last 2 weeks or so. But in the end, after this resolution was, in the words of some diplomats, watered down to try to appease particularly Russia and China, Bahrain thought they were able to get enough votes to get this through. They did. There were 11 of the 15 members of the Security Council that voted for it. 2 abstained. That would have been Pakistan and Colombia. So with the 11 votes, it would have passed. It would have received the 9 minimum needed to pass. However, and this gets to the however, Russia and China, being 2 of the permanent members of the council, have their veto power, and they decided to use it. They both did a double veto of this resolution, essentially killing it, so it will not be adopted. This resolution initially called for Article 7, which would have given member states authorization to use force to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Russia and China very much against that. They said, we will veto this as of 2 weeks ago. So that's why these negotiations went on for so long. The language was changed. Ultimately, what was voted on in the last few minutes was a version that said, strongly encourage states interested in the use of the Strait of Hormuz for commercial maritime routes to coordinate efforts in a defensive manner. That's much different than using force. However, Bahrain was hoping that this would be enough to get Russia and China at least to abstain and allow this to pass. Clearly, that didn't work. With the abstention, it's now gone down. So clearly, Bahrain will have to look in the mirror here, reassess how they managed this entire process. But clearly, the Security Council is very much divided. And clearly, Russia and China, with this veto, showed that they are staunch allies once again of Iran and will use that veto power to back Iran when necessary. Russia and China both saying that this resolution was too strong in condemning Iran and too strong in the language against Iran, which both Moscow and Beijing say it's Iran that is the victim of the aggressor and not the aggressor here. Clearly, that is the diplomatic undercurrents with this vote.
Yeah, this result clearly a gift horse for Tehran. Gabriel Elizondo, the UN in New York, thank you.